Hello, everyone. We are dwindling, but we are back. During the outage, we recorded a few impressions with Brandon before he had to leave for the night. But we still got some more to go. So I'm here. Brad and Ben are here. Damiani is here. So we're going to get through the rest of these guys. So thank you for anyone who's coming back. I just take it as a dinner break. Hopefully, you guys got some dinner or some breakfast, wherever you are. But yeah, we'll get moving on. The next game I've got is Phoenix Point, which is a strategy game from the original creator of XCOM.
Oh.
And so you can expect like a lot of the similar mechanics, essentially a similar setup, but there's some other ideas in there that essentially are some ideas that he's had since I think he said since like 1999, and and other things that have been floating around in his head for a while. And I'm not sure if we got the B-roll going yet because I can't tell from here, but yeah, here we go. Yeah, so this is my playthrough here, and this is beginning. Yeah, so you've got some vehicles, and at this point we were more or less using the vehicle to scout out where enemies were.
Scout out.
Scout out.
And then he was explaining a lot of this to me as we were going, and in true XCOM fashion, right? You kind of think that okay, I'm not sure I know what I'm doing, but it's gonna be okay. I'm gonna move my way forward, nice and slow, and everything will be fine.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah.
I lose some people pretty quickly. Oh yeah, so this guy he's got a jetpack, so
Cool.
you can get him. It's an ability though, so you have like limited number of usage, but you can get him on top of buildings and get some high ground, and that actually works out a little bit in our favor later on. But yeah, so this pretty much wrecked me as we go forward here. And let's see. Yeah, the problem with these games is we can't watch this whole thing in real time because it's like a half hour long.
Yeah.
But let's skip ahead a bit. Okay, let's see where we're at now. Some guys moving up. Damian, the timeline's like right in front of the screen, so I can't really see where we're at. Okay, cool.
Moving on the grid.
Yeah, and then so there's like a blue zone, which is a zone where you can move in and attack, but then there's a further zone where you can just you can move up further and see, but if you move up into that distance, you can't do an attack at the same time.
That's very XCOM-y.
Yeah. And the other thing that's very XCOM-y is that, like the enemies are just kind of out there in this fog of war. So you've got to get somebody in line of sight to even really know where they are, unless they shoot at you or something. And then you can kind of get like this, you'll see there's like kind of like an orange marker of like, okay, gunfire came from somewhere around here.
Okay.
But in general, you've got to be able to see them. Let's see. Okay. So now enemies activity. Now this is like a little face hugger guy.
Ah.
So now that unit that I thought was in a great safe
messed
spot
Yeah.
is turned against me.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh, you just got hit too by something else.
So do you just
Yeah,
lose
that's the
complete
little
control
orange.
of that unit?
You lose complete control of the unit. What you can do, and I was looking for opportunities to do, and just didn't work, is if you use like a smaller gun, you can shoot it off of their face.
Oh.
But like if you use rockets or something, obviously you're gonna blow up.
Yeah.
the
So
guy,
you use like a pistol or something.
I'll get this off you.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at that view. Look at that freako. Hide him out. There's some Resident Evil guy.
Creeping up.
And then, all right, let's see how this second turn ends up playing out.
High ground, baby.
And he was sort of leading me along too. And this was at the Xbox booth. This was basically one of the first appointments that I had. And so this is on Xbox. It's still pretty early, so it's not running like super well.
Right.
But I'm not sure either like how. Oh yeah, so now here I'm trying to get somebody that can be in range to like shoot the facehugger off of him.
Okay.
But like nobody's really in a great spot. We're going to like spread them out just like a couple of squares too far.
Boop, 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 boop.
And and when you see, you can kind of see the enemy line of sight. That's what those little threads are when
Okay.
I'm moving the cursor.
Connecting. Yeah. Thinking about his moves. Doop, boop, boop,
Well, it was
boop.
funny because I was immediately in a situation where like even he wasn't sure what to tell me to do.
Oh.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't know if you could go. No. Yeah.
But I feel
Like,
like
and when the creator is in that, like he's like, oh, I'm in trouble.
I feel like the XCOM-like games are kind of had a similar trajectory to like Metroidvanias, where everybody loved that style, and then we got like an abundance of them. And you know,
So this is what's kind of new here is that you can actually target specific body parts.
cool. No, I was just gonna ask, like, because you have XCOM 1, you have XCOM 2, and then you have the expansions for both of them, and then you have Mutant Year Zero. And so there are just a lot of these types of games coming out. Do you feel like this one is like different enough? Like, did this feel special in comparison to kind of the high quality XCOM games that we've gotten recently?
I mean, it's kind of hard for me to say on just such a limited.
Sure.
You know, I think that's
You need to take
there's
like
a lot
a
of
long.
games where it's like man, E3 is a tough place to get anything more than just like the general like okay, this is essentially what this game is about.
Right.
But in terms of like all the details and like how this thing, you know, because again, one of your things, you know, with these type of games is it's not just an individual battle. It's like, okay, how do
Right.
you take this battle and lead yourself on the right path
Yep.
to go mission to mission? So here we're using rockets to get this guy that was shooting at me from that side of that building.
Oh.
Yeah, and so that's where it kind of chugs is like when there's a lot of like environmental destruction.
Yeah.
Kind of like Mutant Year Zero, where you know you can just blow buildings apart. And a second ago, there was a chest too, and so that's kind of interesting. I think that's more Mutant Year Zero than XCOM, where you can like find chests on the map and get supplies
Cool.
and things on the battlefield. And so some of these things, like the rockets or the fuel for the jetpack, like okay, you have these things in limited supply when you start this mission, but you can find more munitions out on the field, and then get to use that even more. But yeah, Damiani, if you want to skip ahead a little bit.
It's hard. I'm sure this probably
Yeah.
isn't as much of an issue, maybe on if you're watching on stream, but the clip is just so dark. Sometimes it's
sure.
hard to
Yeah.
get a good look at the units or what's going on. Just
Well, I
because
mean,
it's
it's
such
just
a dark.
it's kind of
area.
a dark game. Okay, so this guy, I think we actually managed to do something about. So we'll see what happens on this next turn. Yeah, and that guy that we shot is still out. He's over there bleeding out.
APC.
Does it look dark for them on stream too? I mean, it was dark, just period.
Dark game.
Yeah.
Kind of like Moons of Madness. It's like I'm playing the game and I can barely see anything.
Yeah, that's fine. It's just hard for me to.
So, yeah, to
comprehend
assess what
what's-
you're seeing
What's
Yeah.
happening?
without being standing right in front of a 50-inch screen.
Exactly. So is that vehicle something that you get into mid-mission, or is it something that you bring in with you?
It's actually kind of both. So it's its own unit, but you can have your other soldiers get into it and then transport them, and then they get out.
Gotcha.
Cool.
And so here we're just kind of, we can see that guy, so we'll get to a safe vantage point, and then attack him from a distance.
Oh yeah.
But again, we're going to get some environmental destruction here.
It looks like your units have multiple weapons that you can switch through.
Yeah. So on the very right, you can kind of see there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what all of them are, but there's the rockets, and then there's something in between, and there's a pistol as well. So yeah, you can take in different loadouts.
Cool. Ooh.
Like
So yeah,
XCOM.
here we go. Again, targeting the body parts.
Nice. Like XCOM, is there progression for different types of units? Because like in XCOM, you can make decisions of, well, I want this, character to focus on this thing over something else. Or are your units just staying the same throughout Phoenix Point?
Don't know.
Don't know. Okay.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Sure. Yeah.
I'll keep it simple. I don't.
Sure.
I don't really know. I was just kind of thrown into the
Situation,
mission as it is.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
What's that? More than 2 factions? Yeah, I don't know. I
Don't
don't know
know.
the big storyline or
Just
or
know what you
anything.
played.
Yeah, just to get into a map.
Yeah.
And play it.
This is coming out soon, isn't it?
I think it actually is.
Yeah.
Oh, is
Yeah.
it? Oh.
It's actually I was surprised that it's just a couple months away.
Yeah. Gotta get that guy off the roof.
Yeah.
Even like
skip
the
ahead, Danny.
HUD is so similar to XCOM in a lot of ways. I feel like the alien activity.
Not see what's going on.
Yep.
So dark.
Man, you can skip ahead again. You can probably get close to the end.
Ooh.
Okay.
Inventory.
So again, that's when you're dealing with these chests here, and you actually have like a limited number of things you can carry. So I'm just getting some grenades here out of the chest,
Mm-hmm.
and I think there's some rockets
Man,
too.
if you can get grenades from that, grenades can be so useful.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
in XCOM specifically, you can rely on those.
Dude, I
things
feel like in
extremely
games like
heavily.
that,
Yeah.
or games like this, yeah.
So it's really worth it to go get those chests, I would imagine. Yeah, anytime you can do multiple
AoE
target,
damage,
yeah, AoE
splash damage, the
uh-huh.
best. Yeah.
Yep.
Rules.
Or just blow up cover or whatever you need to do.
All right, let's see what happens on this alien turn.
Whoa.
Here. Yeah. So now, and yeah, the camera's not really great on that one, but
I can't
See
anything.
It's like some
yeah, there we
spider.
go.
Oh,
dude?
whoa, what
No.
the hell is
Great big
that?
alien
Space
there.
spider.
No.
No. No.
I could just make
but
out
this
like
guy shoots off a
shadows
big-
of legs.
Big
Yeah.
rocket.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
I'm actually starting to wonder if their capture was set up weird because it does look like darker
is
than
happening?
I don't know. I just see a sea of
They're
blue
just
and
blue-
like some.
What?
That's a spider.
That's a spider.
I think on my next turn, because I toss a couple grenades its way, you might get to see a little bit. Oh, you can see a little now with
Kill
the
that
blue.
spider.
Seeing like a little bit, I feel like is almost worse than seeing a lot because I don't know. Your mind plays tricks on
Yep.
you.
But yeah, at this point, this is basically my last surviving unit, so I'm hopeless.
Oh, okay.
I'm surrounded in the sea of blue with
Okay.
a giant monster.
Wait, so
Right.
did it like summon that sea of blue and it's just trying to drown
No,
you?
so
in it?
it came up, and then one of the other guys shot this thing over here.
I see.
Placed like a rocket or something.
Tangle up in blue.
We'll throw a grenade at it.
Hell yeah. Don't go down without a fight.
Chip
Did
damage.
nothing.
That's it.
Yep.
Did nothing. And
Death.
blood's dead.
That's it. So yeah,
Cool.
one to keep an eye on at least.
Sure, yeah.
Sure. Phoenix Point.
All right.
The next thing on my list is Pacer.
Pacer.
Pacer it's an interesting story, man.
The basketball team?
Yes.
No. Let me see if I can find where my notes are on it. So Pacer is essentially anti-grav racer.
Whoa.
Cool.
It sounds like Bloodworth's
Yo,
jam, dude.
Jet Moto?
More Wipeout.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Love Wipeout.
And so these, So the story of it is interesting because I don't know if you remember me from GDC a couple years back talking about a game called Formula Fusion. Does that name ring a bell at all?
Nope.
No.
Okay.
But it definitely looks like Wipeout.
Yes,
Yes.
for
this does.
sure.
So Formula Fusion was kickstarted and put into early access and came out like a year and a half or 2 years ago, something like that. And so it came out and they basically it didn't go quite as planned.
Sure, yeah.
It wasn't the product that they imagined or that any of the backers really
Wanted,
imagined.
yeah.
It just didn't really inspire a lot of confidence. And so they've really gone back to the drawing board and re-engineered. So there's like this little, almost like a skeleton
Of the
Formula
past game.
Fusion in this, and like some of the same tracks,
Mm.
but like everything has been like rebuilt from the ground up. There's like a new lighting system, new physics system, new AI system that's going into it.
Ooh.
Just the whole 9 yards. It's designed to run at 4K.
Ooh.
Seems like you're so far ahead of everybody in
Yeah.
this race.
I was like, you got like weapons, I think, and you
Yeah, you have weapons.
used any.
One of the interesting things that they have with this is that you actually create a weapon loadout, and so you kind of customize
your build.
your machine and pick which weapons that you want to have with it.
how do you unlock new loadouts or new things for a loadout,
Yeah.
rather?
I'm not entirely sure that you do.
Oh,
Oh,
is
okay.
it just like a set amount of
It's just
options?
there.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like you have a limited number of slots, and so like you pick up one type of ammo for one slot and another type of ammo
Oh,
for the other.
okay.
And so there's different options that way. This was
What are the orange and purple things that you're?
that's what I was saying. Like,
The
those are the
ammunition?
ammos.
Oh, ammo's okay.
Yes. So I don't know if you'll
Ammos.
see it on this track in particular, but I had like basically like an electrical field that would like cross the full track and go forward, and then just like a little gun, like you know how Wipeout kind of has like
Yeah,
those
yeah,
guns too. And the game's running. It runs at 4K. I'm trying to remember. I think it runs 4K 60 on console
Whoa.
or on Xbox One X, and
Okay.
then the footage isn't even able to capture what it was running on PC. It was running like 145 frames per second. And so they're really prioritizing a lot in terms of control and the quality of the texture work, and like there's even some other effects, like there's some puddles and stuff that were on that map.
It
Yeah.
definitely has a nice sense of speed to it, which I like.
First
Yeah.
place.
And they say that there's the frame rate's priority. So,
Sure, yeah.
like even though there's like multiplayer missions and such, there's not any split screen because there's no way to like do it at that speed, and like you really even
Whoa.
need the full screen to like really make out what turns are coming up.
It's too fast, man. We
Too
can't
fast.
do
Can't
it.
do it.
Also, there's a lot of
Oh, so these are
yeah,
this is your
can kinda see the
loadout.
loadouts right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
But even that HUD, that's still the old Formula Fusion HUD.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so it was really, again, it was just saying that the original team that it made Formula Fusion, like there are a lot of things lessons learned from trying to do a Kickstarter in the early access, and just like us from like budgeting and like thinking they knew how much things would cost, and they really didn't have the right expectations, and then
Yeah.
going into early access and not entirely like people playing the game in early access didn't really have the right expectations for like what necessarily early access meant, and so they were just always kind of a step behind in a way. And so with this one, they're going just for like a more straightforward launch, just like put the game out there,
Yeah.
and let people judge the game like when it's done and everything is ready.
It's cool that they're taking those lessons though and trying to learn from it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And there are,
Make something that people are
they
happy
said
with.
one of the things too with Formula Fusion is because people got wind that there were Wipeout developers on the team, that people were like, oh, the Wipeout guys are making this game. And it was like, well, no, there's some guys.
Some guys,
Yeah.
not all of them.
Yeah, it's not like the whole team is over here. But they do have the original Wipeout composer.
Ooh.
And they have Design Republic, who I think like basically makes like a lot of the brands and logos and such. So there are a lot of very similar
fleshing out the world
aesthetics all the way around to what you would expect from a Wipeout game. And you know, I was also kind of in that early boat where like I had played Formula Fusion at GDC. And I was like, cool, like I'll check this out when it's ready.
Oh.
And yeah, this
You
track
wiped
actually
out.
got more brutal in terms of the back and forth with the AI. And this is still the old AI. I haven't played with the new AI yet.
New AI.
But yeah, I was similarly like once I got the code for Formula Fusion, I played a little bit on Steam. I was like, this isn't really doing it for me. And I was kind of like, I'm not even gonna worry about reviewing this game because it's like I just don't want to put the investment in.
Yeah.
Right.
And just playing this for, I think I played like 4 tracks or something, like I could feel like the improvement. I just felt like it was a lot more solid. The graphics were a lot more robust, and it feels like this is like finally like what they were originally intending to do.
Good.
And it has about twice as many tracks as Formula Fusion had as well.
How many tracks are there?
There's 14 tracks, and I think 8 of them are kind of rebuilds from Formula Fusion, and then there's 6 that are totally brand new.
Sweet.
Nice.
Nice.
So next
when is Pacer out?
I'm not sure if I know.
Okay.
I didn't write it down on my notebook. I might have it in an email somewhere, but
Coming soon.
Don't think it's
Maybe.
too far off, but yeah. Ben, you've got a game that you've talked about a little bit before.
Yeah.
Granblue Fantasy Versus. I'll
Yeah.
look at my emails and see if I can find
Granblue
something.
This probably
Versus.
won't be too terribly long because I don't want to completely. We had a conversation about it on Frame Trap where I played the closed beta, and I for this E3 demo, it was just the closed beta, so there were no new characters to play.
Right.
There was nothing beyond what I'd already seen and talked about on Frame Trap. So if you want more than what we're getting here, because I think Granblue Fantasy Versus is really cool, and I'm looking forward to it. But if you want kind of more of my impressions, I definitely recommend you check out Frame Trap episode 83, where we kind of go into it. But yeah, what I liked about it is the guy at the XC booth who was playing was big into fighting games, and so we could just kind of get into it. It wasn't somebody that was like had no idea what they were doing and they were just doing their job. Like he clearly had an interest and passion in fighting games. So we were talking about it, and we were talking about like the pace of it, because the pace of Granblue Fantasy Versus is very not typical of Arc System Works. There's no air dashes, for instance, and the walk speed and the dash speed on the ground is really slow.
Okay.
And it feels more like their version of Street Fighter, kind of. That is definitely the vibe that it has. And
quick small correction on Pacer.
Sure.
So it's running 60 frames per second on all formats. I think it's only running 4K 60
on PC.
On PC.
Gotcha.
What was I talking? Yeah, so Granblue Fantasy versus
Street Fighter.
Street Fighter, yeah. And that's good. That slow pace really helps because between that and the way that it handles mechanically, it is a very easy game to get into.
Easy to pick up and play.
Yeah, and Huber and I had recently had a conversation of Samurai Showdown, and it's kind of, they're both easy to get into, but for different reasons. Where here, you
PC,
have
PS4 Pro, and Xbox One X. Sorry, I'm like
just losing my train of thought.
Looking, yeah.
Yeah, but when you're fighting, you have kind of universal things. So everybody, if you want to do an overhead, every single character can do an overhead, and it's the same input. And there's a lot of things like that. So every character for each of your different levels of attack, you can kind of go into an auto attack, but you can cancel that into a special move. And so things just like kind of all of these things are trying to simplify like how you chain things together and do combos. And there's also simplified ways to do special moves. So like if you want to do a fireball, you can do the quarter circle forward motion and the button, or if you want to, you can just hold forward, you can just tap forward in R1. But if you do the shortcut, you actually make the fireball go on cooldown, and you can't use the fireball again until it's up. And what's also interesting is if you want to EX the fireball, it does the same thing. And so just depending on your skill level and how you want to do it, you kind of have to make a decision. And like we talked about on Frame Trap, it's a really cool decision because it's like, yeah, you can make it easier on yourself, but it comes at a pretty steep cost. And it's the same thing with the EX, where it's like, okay, yeah, it's not governed by a meter in the traditional sense, but you will have to wait.
Yeah.
And so when you're fighting, you kind of have to pay attention to that. You have to be like, okay, which of my special moves do I have available? And all the characters, as far as moves go, their moves, their play style is made very obvious, and nobody has like a crazy amount of moves. And so they try to keep it simple, but while also making sure each of the characters has a very strong identity. But something that I learned that I didn't pick up on when I was playing the closed beta, that I learned in this E3 test that I really liked, is so you have a super that you can do, but you also, when you're at like, I think 30% health, you get a stronger version of the super. You can do an extra special super.
Oh, it's like a desperate super or something?
Yeah, and if you finish the match with that special super, you get a different animation for it.
Oh, cool.
Which is really cool. So it's just something to kind of hype it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I love touches like that.
That is cool.
Yeah, and that's a very Arc System Works thing to do, to have kind of a, like, hey, if you end the match this way, you get something extra fancy. But yeah, it's...
Dude, I gotta say, like, all of Arc System Work games, it looks great.
It
looks
is gorgeous.
great.
Yeah. And that's kind of the thing, Brad, where I feel like for a lot of people, they look at Arc System Works games and they're like, I really like the look of this. I really like the personality of the cast, but it's really hard to get into. Like, this game is super not hard to get into. And so I think just if you have any interest in Street Fighter-like games or Arc System Works, like, this really is
good place to jump in.
Great entry point. Yeah. For sure.
I want to jump in. It looks really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Hype, dude.
Yeah.
So,
It's cool.
Ben, I feel like this is the yearly check-in.
Yeah.
Sakuna. Didn't I see this I played this last year
Yeah.
with you, or was it the year before?
Yeah, I feel like I've played it for 3 threes, but
Yeah.
that's okay. Because Sakuna of Rice and Ruin, once again, really impressed. It was interesting this time because they didn't have the part where you're actually growing rice,
Right.
which I thought was
okay.
really cool and is a neat aspect of the game. They were not highlighting that here. They were just focusing on combat. And it's been a year since I've played this game, but combat definitely felt tighter. It's just like they just took a bunch of knobs and like cranked them.
Nice.
So movement and just strikes and everything. It felt really good. Like, this is a pretty competent.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes,
The scarf thing,
this
I remember
is a
that.
pretty competent action game, and it has some neat mechanics. So you have basic attacks that you can do, but you see that green bar that's going
Yes.
down? That's essentially your stamina meter. But what it's governing is if you hit square in any direction, you will do a different type of attack. So if you hit square and you don't hit any direction, you'll do like a combo where she just is shaking the stick and doing a ton of damage, and that's great. You want to save that and like use that against big enemies. But if you hit like sideways and square, you'll do a spin, and this is really great because there are obstacles in the environment where you can knock enemies into spikes or explosive barrels or things like that. And you have this celestial scarf, and you can use that to grab onto the environment. You can use it to whip to the other side of enemies. That's really useful in boss fights. Like if a boss is charging up this attack, you just be like, oh, whip, go to the other side and hit him. So that's really, really cool. But yeah, it just felt really good.
So do you have different attacks for all 4 directions?
Yes.
Cool.
So there are enemies that are flying, and like the best way to hit them is to do your up and square attack, where you'll do the spin in the air. So it allows you to hit multiple enemies. If you do down and square, you'll do like the slam to the ground. And so if you see a swarm of enemies, and you do fight lots of swarms of enemies, it's good to use that to just hit a bunch of them at once. And yeah, here it's telling you that you can use the scarf. Yeah,
it's cool. Juggle them.
Juggle them. But I guess the last thing to say about Sakuna is, like, the boss fight was legitimately pretty aggressive and challenging. Much more challenging. I fought a fish boss last year that
Yes, I remember
seems
that.
pretty standard. This boss was a lot more interesting.
A standard fish boss.
Yeah. And the reason it was more interesting is because of how much it was throwing at you. So it would summon additional smaller enemies.
Whoa.
And you don't have that much room to move around in, but it's shooting these blue orbs. And it's also doing melee attacks, and it's also kind of summoning like these pools of fire on the ground.
Oh.
And they stay up for a
Decent amount of time.
yeah. Here they're not, but they definitely like there are some attacks where
Maybe
you'll see
there
the
is.
fire. Yeah, the fire will stick around
cool.
for a while. And as you can kind of see in the footage, like the boss with different attacks and with the other monsters, it's covering like a lot of space. And because you're melee focused, like you need to get in there and hit him. And he just does a good job of surrounding himself.
The scarf, you can instantly go behind him, right?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yep. But you like have to hit a certain part of this boss. Like I was behind him and trying to hit the tail, and it wasn't doing any damage.
I see.
So, yeah.
Got him.
But very, very fun.
Was there a window for this? I forgot. A release window?
Yeah, I think they did finally announce a date. I'm not sure of that. Maybe we can dig that up.
Well,
but I
yeah,
think
we'll
it is
figure it out.
actually finally
I'll try
coming
to
out.
check it out and not have any more incorrect corrections this time.
Yeah. But what I really want to say about Sakuna is the first year I saw it, I was like, this seems really cool. And then the next year it was like, oh, there's this rice growing mechanic that really separates it from other games. And now this year I really got a sense of the polish where it's like, wow, they've really tuned this thing. And so it's been cool seeing this game evolve over the years. And now it's finally going to be
coming out, dude.
But yeah, I definitely think Sakuna is one to watch for
This
sure.
winter.
This winter.
This winter,
Okay,
yeah.
2019. Sweet. Got a date, baby.
Cool.
Sweet.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah. What we got next?
Fall Guys. The
Fall
crazy
Guys.
Devolver game. What the heck is this game?
Yeah. So this is the only E3 appointment I've ever done where they're like, you need to take off your shoes.
What?
Yeah. And you go inside, and it's like a kid's like toddler's like playhouse thing where like the
Like a bouncy house?
yeah, it's essentially like a bouncy house. It wasn't.
Okay.
You couldn't actually bounce, but it was kind of that vibe. And they just, I don't know, like a lot of things at Devolver, they just had a really good, playful attitude about them. But what Fall Guys is it's a battle royale game where
And as far as I know, there's not footage out there unless they're on somebody's stage. Or were they on like IGN stage, weren't they? So
Maybe.
they probably can't show
I'm not
that.
sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's footage out there, and I did not capture any footage. But it's a battle royale where you go through different phases, and there are only like a couple of things that you can do. So you can jump, you can grab, and you can dive. And you can dive and grab at the same time. But they keep it very, very simple. And their big thing is like, we want you to like get a controller and just immediately understand it. And it's so much fun because the first round that you do, there are just a series of doors, and you're running towards the doors, and only some of the doors will let you break through them and continue. And then other doors they'll have red X's and you can't go through.
Oh, okay.
And then as you're progressing, you'll get to the point where like only one door is correct.
Oh, that's fun.
And the way that it works is there are 3 rounds, and there's like the bottom third of people in the first round will be cut off.
Okay.
And then in the second round, there's a number of players that have tails, and you're on a timer, and you want to end the round with a tail by the time the timer runs out. And it's really cool. They said specifically that they're basing it off Takeshi's Castle. That's the name of it,
Oh,
right?
really?
Yes,
Yeah.
They said specifically like
That's
that is
funny.
our influence. And the arena that you're in, there are like these giant mallets swinging around.
Cool.
And you just kind of want to devise a strategy where it's like, okay, they're focused on somebody else. I'm going to go and I'm going to try to hide so they don't steal my tail. But just very simple and very fun. And then the last round, where you have the smallest pool of players at this point, since they've been weeded out in the other 2, is you're ascending like this mountain. And there's spinning hammers going around, and there's boulders flying down. And in the final round, there can only be one person who succeeds. And the way that it works is at the very end, there's this giant glowing crown that's floating up and down. And if you do manage to get to the very end, and it's hard at this point. Like the other rounds are pretty straightforward and simple, but this last round definitely pushes back a little bit. you have to time your jump right at the end so you land when the crown is going down and you can grab it. And I'm happy to say I represented Easy Allies well.
Yeah?
And I won, which is great.
King Ben.
Yes.
Take that,
there
everybody.
were only... So, to undermine this a little bit, it was like me and 4 other people.
Oh, okay.
And then the rest were AI. But we did win, and before winning, you get like
Hey,
this...
dude, a lot of times you get in these demos, the AI just trounces everybody.
The AI was really dumb here.
Okay.
Yeah. The AI was really dumb. They said as much. Like
Yeah.
that was what they
Yeah,
said
yeah,
because they're not. You're meant to play this with a bunch of other people. They did give me a phone crown though, which I have in the break room.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah,
I was wondering who
that's
brought
what
that.
that was. But yeah, it's great because this is something I could see you like passing around the controller at a party.
Yeah.
And just a very fun social game that takes absolutely no time to understand, that you can just play casually and
Yeah.
have a blast with. And that's great. I always encourage.
Yeah.
You always need a game like that. And it just seems really creative and fun. Definitely not taking itself too seriously.
Super jolly game.
Yes, very jolly game for sure.
Hell yeah.
Liked it a lot.
Brad and I saw a super jolly game.
Oh, sorry. There's one last thing I want to say.
Oh.
So here, the 3 rounds that I was talking about, the first one with the doors, the second one with the tails, and the one where we were climbing the mountain, they want to have a bunch of those. So
Yeah.
it's not always going to be the same
Same
thing.
3, yeah.
Yeah. So don't
think that.
Right. They're gonna add more objectives.
Yeah, that
and
was just the
games over
demo.
time. Yep.
Demo purposes.
All right.
What jolly game did we see?
We saw Maneater.
Oh, dude.
Oh, I'm so jealous that you got to see
Maneater,
Maneater.
dude,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
We didn't get to play it.
Play it, but we saw it, and oh my goodness, this game is so ridiculous.
Shark RPG.
Shark RPG. So yeah, you're playing as. They said a
bull shark,
It
yeah.
looks more like a great white, but it's we'll say it's a bull shark. And yeah, you're swimming around. You're getting nutrients to get larger. Attacking. What's crazy too is they like show this map, and there are like these. It's almost like it's got like environmental lessons baked into it.
Yeah.
The whole like harbor, at least where we were watching, was like full of trash and stuff. And they go up to like they said there's landmarks throughout to discover that I don't know, they give you.
They were
extra
like, I
XP or
think,
something.
fast travel points too, I think,
Oh
if
yeah.
you wanted.
But this landmark is basically like where the mob drops off their bodies.
Yeah.
So they're just like a bunch of covered body bags, like tied to chains with like bricks
Yeah.
on
That
the
is awesome.
seafloor. And the shark can like jump way out of the
Echo
water,
style, dude.
like just like a missile.
When you're doing that though, and you're like being so visible, do you hear like are there any other people around that
There's
see
people
the shark and
around.
they're like, whoa, what the hell?
Yeah, there's people around, and we'll get to that. But yeah, so like in the trailer you just saw there's this tail whip, and that's a huge mechanic.
Huge mechanic.
There's this thing where like you like grab people or objects or whatever, and like you have them in your mouth, and then you jump out of the water, and then you kind of like spit and tail whip them at things and like launch them at other objects with projectiles.
This sounds super fun.
Yeah.
This is it's so weird, and they like went straight up onto the beach. They were up on the beach
For a
tail
while.
whipping guys.
Yeah,
and
because they were
grabbing
saying
guys.
you
Yeah.
can do that if you upgrade your
Yeah.
shark in a
Yeah.
way that.
Ben, check it out. You start off the game small.
Okay.
And then, like, throughout the game, you evolve to bigger sharks. So, like, and you get brand new abilities every
Yeah.
time you get it. So they showed, like, the baby shark, then you eventually turn into, like, a megalodon shark at the very
Nice.
end. And you just, like, see how big it was.
So that's happening slowly over the course of the entire
Yes,
game.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, and they
The
said
whole game.
each, like, area has, like, a really intense
They have apex predators.
apex predators.
So we came in. We went into this tunnel, and there's this huge crocodile.
yeah,
in
RE2
there.
style. Huge
And
gate.
it's like, oh yeah, we can't deal with this guy
Yeah.
yet.
Okay.
You have to get large enough to be able to take them down. And,
So, is it something where you can't deal with the apex predator right now, but let's say you grow, can you come
Yes.
back to
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
area
you
and deal
can.
with it?
Yeah.
Is there a reward for
Yeah,
taking
you
on the apex
get
predators?
like rewards for actually going to it's because it's like an RPG, so you get
Right.
upgrades for your shark. They showed like more intense teeth to like better for biting boats. They showed armor you get or like
Oh, yeah.
evolutions for your shark,
yeah,
like
there's-
bone armor.
There's all these different.
That's like better for ramming boats
there's
too.
like electrical.
electric one.
Yeah, serrated teeth, mutated lungs, so you could stay on the beach longer.
Yep.
Bone face.
Bone face.
Bone
Off.
face.
Yeah, it's like just bone all over your shark. That's like bone armor.
Just to protect
Yeah, but
you.
there's like you can have different ones on different like I don't know, it's probably like head, torso, and tail or
Yeah.
something like that. So you could have different upgrades on each part of your body, or you can get like collect a full set essentially. And then the electromagnetic disruptor.
Yeah.
You can set off. They're saying there's an upgrade that lets you set off like depth charges, like when guys attack you with those, so that you can essentially hit them with their own firepower.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of crazy stuff. The whole game is told through like the lens of some reality show that's narrated by Chris Parnell.
Who is Chris Parnell?
They rattle.
He was
off
like
a
on
bunch of
Archer and
credits.
stuff, they said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I have not seen Archer.
I think he's on SNL and stuff. But there's like it's like GTA. So if you kill a bunch of people or whatever, cause enough chaos, like bounty hunters will come to hunt you.
Nice.
And if you deal with them, like a higher level will come, and you get rewards for doing this. And I think what we saw, there's 3 levels. So like one group came, then another group, and these are like actual people. I forgot, like 2 ton, like Tina or something like that. Then I think there was like 3 waves, and you got some bonus for like killing all 3 of them.
We're
But
going
you
on a
could just,
shark
like-
rampage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could just like jump onto a boat and like there's like this huge like fleet of boats shooting at him, and he was just knocking boats in half and jumping on and grabbing people off of the boats and spitting them into other boats.
Yeah, shark action game.
Wait, so you can bite off a chunk of boat and spit it at another boat?
No, you could like grab a person and then tail whip them and like launch them at a boat.
You could like sneak up behind on people and just munch them real quick.
Cool.
Oh, the Apex Predators, there's unique upgrades that you only get from them.
Yeah.
Ah,
That's
that's
the
a
thing.
pretty big
So yeah, they
incentive
showed
then.
us the gator, and they showed us like a giant whale for one of them.
Yeah.
They were like, you're gonna want to be the
They say
biggest
there's,
size
like, basically
possible.
after you beat the story, there's like the end game is the demotion.
End game,
Yo.
end game content.
Yeah, post game
Yeah.
raids.
Oh, and one of the funny things with the narration is the guy is like, as you're going around causing all this mayhem and like munching on people, the narrator is just giving you like these mundane facts about certain fish that you come across. And it's like, sharks don't, they really aren't a threat to human, only in unique circumstances.
Yeah. And you're there with your
And they're
bone
there.
armor.
Yeah.
Tail
Causing
weapon guys.
chaos. Yeah.
But yeah, that's gonna be a crazy game to play.
Man, I really-
some of the regions, there's a bayou, there's a resort, and there's like a place full of like nuclear
Chemical waste. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool seeing it at the PC Gaming Show because it just felt like it kind of came out of nowhere and had such an exciting energy about it. And hearing you guys talk about it and hearing your enthusiasm.
It's just like goofy fun.
Yes.
That you can have a real good time with.
Yes. That's great.
The next game on our list, I'm trying to find where I have it in my notes. It's 12 minutes.
12
Nice.
minutes.
So I don't know if you remember that from the Xbox.
Yes.
Oh, I
we
super
do.
Yeah. So it's
Groundhog's Day.
It's Groundhog's Day. You're like you're stuck in this time loop, and there it is. And you basically come home from work, and your wife is in the bathroom or something, and she comes out and she's like, "Oh, I didn't know you were home." You embrace, you kiss or whatever, and she's like, I'm getting dinner ready. Sit down. I have a surprise for you. And she pulls out this package, and she announces that,
Having a baby.
Yeah, we're having a baby. And then we get this knock on the door that it's it's the police. And, but really it's some guy posing.
Some
as the
maniac.
Sting is in this game?
But what's interesting is like there is sort of like this arc of things that happen if you don't do anything, but like even in your first loop, like you can screw it up and like reset
Quickly
back to
redo it.
one.
Cool.
Because if you die or before the 12 minutes are up,
Just wake up and starts over.
you just start over and you're just like, what is going on? So I was able to play this a little bit when I don't know, probably through like 4 or 5 different loops. And it all takes place in these 3 rooms, as far as I can tell.
Okay.
And even though the loop is 12 minutes, this thing is like a 6 to 8 hour game to
Good
actually
Lord.
complete it.
So I guess the question that leaves me is, you mentioned that if you mess up, you like loop back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Does that mean you're seeing the same thing over and over and over again? Because it's like, okay, this was really tense when that guy was banging on the door the first time,
Right.
but now that I've seen it 20
After like
times,
the 5th, yeah.
But
that is not nearly as
The
exciting.
intensity is figuring out like how to connect and how to like keep things from happening. So like one of the things I was actually surprised by is like you can immediately start to try to convince your wife that hey, this just happened. I think I'm stuck in a time loop. And she's like, what are you talking about? Prove it. And so then you can like go into the bedroom, open up the drawer, pull out the present, and it's like, hey, this present's not open. I know what's inside. You know, but even that's not necessarily enough to convince her. But then you're like, you can say, hey, there's a guy that's going to come and he's going to knock on that door and don't open that door. And then there's like actually a lot of follow up to that, you know, back and forth with her and she just like insists not to do it or to try to tell her something. I was able to get into the closet and like find like a phone that was in her purse or something and call 911 and have the real cops come. But I don't know if I didn't do it earlier enough because like they didn't make it and the guy came in and like handcuffed both of us and started beating the crap out of me. Yeah, but there was so it's interesting because like you find out these facts that lead to other dialogue choices and things to like really let her catch on, and it changed the entire course of what that initial conversation and all those events are going to be. Like that stuff doesn't even end up happening because you've changed a lot there.
When you're getting these like different paths forward, is it like dialogue options that you're getting, or is it like decisions that are popping up on the screen?
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially dialogue options and decision, like how you're going to handle things. Like there's a knife on the counter. Like do you take that knife and you use that knife to defend yourself?
So
you take
if
that knife and you give that knife to her?
If you do try to defend yourself and you try to take this guy on,
I don't know. I mean, I tried to take him on one time, but I didn't have the knife, or at least I didn't have it equipped.
But is it just you making that decision and seeing what happens, or are you actually fighting him in the game?
You don't like. It's not an action game.
Sure.
And that's actually something that he said. Like he really wants to make it something that like even people that wouldn't ordinarily play a video game, they can just get in there and like do everything with like
Just
one click
making
with
choices,
the mouse.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And really.
So it's like a
understand.
trial and error game, pretty much.
In a way, it's kind of learning what's available to you.
Did they say there's more than one way to accomplish this or finish the game?
You know, I'm not sure about that. I do know that, like, in terms of this, essentially the script of it is all done, and now at this point they don't have any of the voice acting, and now they're like working with getting the voice acting recorded because they think it's going to make a huge difference to like actually get, you know, like the performance in there, like how people are reacting and how people feel about everything. And it's he was saying it's sort of like it's all about your interpretation of what's happening, right? You know, so it's like I think from the trailer and my initial read of things is like, okay, this guy's not really a cop, but why do I not think he's a cop?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, sure, yeah.
You know, because like he's accusing her of like killing her father or something crazy
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
in the trailer,
Yeah.
yes. Yep.
Jeez.
And so it's like it is, and there is even like I think there's like a newspaper article on the wall that's kind of around those events. So I think there might be some clue there.
Yeah, I wonder how you're going to piece this story together. If it's just finding the best combination of choices that kind of lead to the longest route, or if like it's about seeing a bunch of different permutations and a bunch of different decisions and getting a little bit in each one.
Because it doesn't, the way it feels, the way that you gain information as you go through a loop, it's not like you can just, you know, after you've beaten the game, you can't just go back in and like, all right, I did it in one go. Like,
right.
It's, maybe there is a shortest path to get to that.
Yeah.
But there's just all of these spiraling ways to get information.
Yeah.
Cool.
Really like the premise of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neat idea.
Ben, you got to play Trine 4.
Oh.
Yes. Actually, I have a bunch of notes on Trine 4 that I think would help this that I don't have with me. So let me grab those.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Real quick.
Trine
I'll be
4,
right back.
baby.
Yeah.
I like Trine.
Mm-hmm.
I played I beat 1 at least with Hubert. Hey, chat. Thanks for hanging out with us. It's been a crazy
how many
day.
We got left? We got 1.
It's been a crazy week.
2, 3.
Thanks for being there.
4, 5, 6, 7. We got about 8 more.
8 more games?
Last couple are
Cool.
real quickies.
Cool. We're doing it. We're going to crush it. Then we're going to sleep. We're going to rest up. And we'll be back Tuesday
Gonna
with
make
our...
some audio versions.
Blood's
Got a
gonna
bunch of thumbnails.
continue to work. The rest of us are going to chill out.
No, I definitely am gonna find. Well, at least once I get through all that crap, I'll definitely find a day to just sleep.
Ooh, Ben's got a lot of notes.
Yeah. So Trine 4, Trine games have a reputation for being very pretty, and
Yes.
Trine 4 is no exception.
Damiani, look up its spelling on that. I think there's also like a weird IX on the next thing. Sorry.
What's up?
I was just looking at Damiani's coming up next.
Oh, yeah.
And Trine 4 inspired by Finnish nature, which I thought
Look at
was...
that bear.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
There's actually kind of
I had
a
actually
bunch
seen
of
footage.
of animals that you're helping. There's a hedgehog and then there's a bear as well. And yeah, just a great. It's a very kind of chipper game. Like the characters, the banter that they have. There's kind of this cuteness to everything. You're helping out this hedgehog farmer. You're helping out this bear. Just kind of a very whimsical attitude that it presents. But there are new mechanics. Something that they really emphasized here is they feel like in the past, people have relied on like one character for combat specifically, and they want everyone to be equally useful in combat. So they've given all the characters different buffs to try to make them more versatile and more valuable in combat.
Gotcha.
So is one of the characters creating these platforms?
Yeah, the
Yes.
wizard.
So the wizard is creating the platforms, and if you're not familiar with Trine, there's a rogue who has like
A bow.
who has a bow. She can use ranged attacks. She can
Grapple hook, I think.
She can she can take boxes and kind of grapple them together, and she has this new ability, this like levitating string where she shoots it and it raises the thing up.
Oh.
So if it's attached to this string, it will open
Go
up.
up.
So there are like doors that you can open that way.
Got it.
And yeah, the flow of it is it'll alternate between environmental puzzles and combat arenas. And I really do mean combat arenas. Like you'll be moving along and then it'll block off both sides. And it's like you can't progress until you defeat all of the different enemies.
I feel like we should be playing these as a group.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
because I think
play them cooperatively.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
'Cause, like I think
3
that's the
players.
reason I've never totally gotten into this, because I feel like I've started trying one or something and like, oh, I should play this with somebody else.
Yeah.
And then I just didn't follow up.
But everybody has new abilities, and the knight that you're seeing here has what I think is one of the coolest new abilities, and it's the Dream Shield. So he can take his shield and he can use it. So you'll see, like right there, he's taking the shield and making the water bounce off the shield and onto the flowers.
Oh,
and the flowers
he's
are
watering the
growing.
plant.
Nice.
Yeah. Once he gets the Dream Shield, what he can do is he can kind of make this ethereal shield, and he can plant it somewhere. And so you'll have, sorry, Huber, essentially laser puzzles where it's like, okay, I'll have to use the Dream Shield to reflect the beam here, and then I'll go over and take where that's reflecting and then reflect it to another point. But the coolest application of it is in combat, because what you can do with the Dream Shield is you can essentially like make a trap. Because if enemies hit the Dream Shield, their projectiles will bounce off of it. And so you'd be like, oh, this guy up here is firing at me. I'll plant the Dream Shield here. He'll shoot himself with his own weapons, and then I'll go down and fight the other enemies at the bottom.
Nice.
So that's really fun. Same screen co-op is available. There's a lot of focus on mobility as well. The archer rogue character has a dodge roll. The wizard has a blink, so you can just get around very easily. You help out a bear, as we already mentioned. And a lot of focus of combat skills specifically for the wizard. You can You can to give you a sense of how the wizard plays, because he's all about like summoning things. So you saw summoning platforms, summoning boxes is a big thing he can do. Just give you a sense of what he does in combat is you can take these boxes and use kind of like you can manipulate them and chuck them at enemies as well, which is really neat.
Yeah, same 3 characters for all 4 games.
Yeah, yep. Same 3 characters in all 4 of the games. And yeah, let me see if there's anything else here that I have in my notes that are really worth bringing up.
To me, this looks like if you like Trine, you know exactly what you're going to get with this game.
Yeah, and something else that's neat about it is you have all these characters have all these different tools, and it's about combining them in interesting ways. And there's not necessarily always one right way. Like there are multiple ways where you can manipulate it or use the mobility of the characters to get through a certain situation. And there were points the 2 presenters were like, okay, let's try to do this the cool way. And they tried to do little tricks within the demo to try to make it work.
Nice.
Which is really neat. But you're seeing that string that I was talking about before, where once she like attached it to the log, it started floating up, and then she's attaching it to that pole to make it stay in place. And then you can use the wizard to pin the box on the spikes. And it's just a really cool unison of abilities. Something that really bummed me out, though, that I thought, like, why are you doing this? Is they had this great presentation where they were showing off all of the different characters and how they work in unison. But the demo that they had in their booth, they're just like, yeah, you're just going to play the tutorial of the knight. So all you play as
is just the knight?
Is just the knight. And it's
like the core concept of the game is
the whole
all 3.
Point of this game is to play all 3 characters. I think they didn't want to overwhelm people.
Yeah, but
which
it's
I understand. But like I agree. It's like this is the 4th game in the series, and it's like one of the biggest selling points. It didn't feel like a great representation. So I did that. I did play as the knight, but it was just like, here's how you jump. Here's how you swing your sword. And so it was just all very basic. And you fight a boss at the end, but pretty easy since it was, you know, like I said, a kind of tutorial of the game.
If you're curious about the game, there's 3 other ones you could try to see if it's your kind of jam.
Yeah. I played some of Trine 2 or some of Trine, and I believe some of Trine 2. I don't think I played any Trine 3, but seemed very much in line with that. But looked fun. Definitely looked fun co-op as Blood mentioned. But yeah, it had a good presentation.
Nice.
Very cool.
All right.
Brad and I got to meet up in a hallway with Inti Creates.
Yeah.
Sit down with a Switch and play Gunvolt Chronicles, Luminous Avenger.
What a name.
Yeah.
Hey, wait, so it's Azure Gunvolt.
Right.
What's the subtitle again?
Is it Azure Gunvolt? I'm not sure.
I just know it was Avengers.
What's the original Gunvolt?
Gunvolt Chronicles, Luminous Avenger IX.
Right. But I don't remember what the earlier ones were.
I was just trying to focus on the mechanics, man.
Sure.
I throw it on screen if you get it. But the previous games were
3DS
games.
No. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they came out on Switch as well.
Yes.
Yeah, they ported them to Switch.
Played through the first one.
But with this one, it's made for Switch as well as PS4 and Steam. So there's a lot more that they can do from the ground up in terms of effects and everything. And it looks like we're just looking at a cutscene right now. But when you get into it, it's like a side-scrolling action game. They were originally behind Mega Man 0, right? So here we go.
Yeah, and you just get that sense immediately.
Yeah. So the idea with this is the dash. You dash into things, and then your shots are like homing attacks to whatever you dash into. But your dashes are limited by those little bullets on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
So you need to recharge them. But if you bounce into walls and stuff,
it recharges it.
Yeah, it kind of recharges, and so there's a lot about just like really moving and ricocheting and keeping essentially the
that
flow
movement going. Yeah.
It's Azure Striker Gunvolt.
Azure Striker Gunvolt.
Yes.
Okay, and then Gunvolt Chronicles is more kind of a spinoff, I guess, story-wise.
Yeah, this is a spinoff.
Yeah.
Because you're playing as a different character, I believe, from the other ones. Oh, yeah, this is like a special you could just push.
Nice.
Some crazy attack.
Bread
Yeah.
and Blood. How did the difficulty feel? Because my biggest complaint
He
about
specifically brought up, I think, that it was too easy before.
yeah, well, it was a really cool idea, and the mechanics were really fun. But yeah, it was too easy until like the very end.
Yeah, they said they were like addressing that.
Okay. Nice.
Got it. Oh yeah, and an interesting thing that happened with Brad is he got taken out, but there's like this like low level
Like a chance
luck
to
chance
Be
that
resurrected.
she'll come back and revive you.
It was pure RNG, I guess.
Huh.
Which is interesting. I was like, that's
Do you
kinda
know
weird.
what the chance is for being
I
revived? And if
don't.
there's any way to
I
increase
have
it?
no idea.
Yeah, I don't think there's a way to increase it. I just think it's like one of these
Gotcha.
things that
that an anime waifu will come.
It's kind of a
save
game
you.
where you start off and you're like kind of clumsy, but after like a little bit, you start getting the flow of things. You're moving
Yeah.
around and it gets
Yeah.
really fun. I feel like this would be a really cool game for like speed runs.
Yeah.
Because people are gonna be bouncing all over the place.
Well, I just naturally, I imagine you get to a point where you're dashing through, you're chaining your dashes
Yeah.
together, and then just
Yeah.
locking on and just
like
obliterating them
and
very
locking
quickly.
on enemies, you do more damage too. So it's
Cool.
like incentive to actually do that. It was a cool little side scroller. Reminded me of like Mega Man X, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't played Edge Striker Gunvolt 2 yet, but the first game I was definitely like, there is a lot of potential here. And I
Yes.
want them to
Yeah.
keep going with this. So it's cool that they
There's
are.
a collection of the first two on
Yeah,
Switch.
it's definitely
Yep.
one of those
Curious.
games where you feel like you're improving.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
Like you start off just kind of like, playing it like your brain wants you to normally play, and then like you just start learning all of its own unique mechanics.
How was the enemy variety, and what kind of things were they throwing at you?
I mean, we just played one level. I think they were just kind of like basic enemies for most of the part. I don't remember like
Yeah, I mean,
a
I
lot
think
of-
one of the main differences is that learning how to deal with air enemies and like kind of dashing up diagonally, or you were doing some dashing through like corridors vertically, where you're just kind of ricocheting your way up the walls.
I love that he like jumped in the footage that we're seeing. He like jumped on a guy, flipped off, shot him, and then still remained on the air and then jumped again.
yeah.
Just really cool ways that you can chain attacks together.
But, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's coming out in that September crunch,
Yep.
September 26th.
I feel like that happens with Inti Creates games and me quite a bit, where I'm like, that seems interesting and I want to play it, but you're coming out at a time where there's
A terrible time
other
frame,
things.
yeah.
Yeah. And September is a really rough
there was
month.
one of their other games that came out like January, February, right? That you just weren't able to get around to.
Yeah, Blaster Master 02, was that January?
That was.
Oh no,
No, it was before that.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
the one where they released it really weird with like two versions.
yes. Why can't I think of it? Was it Dragon March for Death?
I think that's it.
I'm blanking on Inti Creates titles because I'm so tired. I'm so tired, and these damn anime game names.
Yeah, they're hard.
I think it's Dragon March for
But
Death.
yeah, it's cool. If you like a little side scroller shooting action, check it out.
Yeah.
Ben, you wanted to give us a quickie on Pokemon, even though
Pokemon.
other people have talked about it. You
Yeah.
didn't get to play it when they talked about it.
I didn't hear anything about it. Let's go.
Right. So I know they already talked quite a bit about Pokemon Sword and Shield, but I just wanted to give my take on it. And a big reason why I wanted to give my take on it is I've definitely been on the optimistic end for Pokemon Sword and Shield, as we've been kind of responding to information as it comes out. And I have to say, after playing the demo really underwhelmed me. And that was a bummer because, as these guys can attest, I said multiple times throughout E3, I was like, man, I really want to play Pokemon. I'm so excited
is
to play
true.
Pokemon. I really want to get in there and play the demo. And I walked away from that thing being like, wow, that's it, huh?
Sorry, was the demo just a battle or something?
So the battle was, or the demo was the water gym.
Okay.
And so and this is my problem, in classic Pokemon fashion, what it is, it's like, here's this very simple puzzle. Do that, and as you're going through, you'll fight trainers. And that's fine. But Pokemon has just been doing that forever, and the puzzle that they implemented was just like so brain dead easy and simple and like cliche almost.
Yeah.
That I just was disappointed.
You felt like you were playing on autopilot.
Right. I felt like I was playing on autopilot is exactly what it was. And so to give you a sense of what the puzzle was is you're in this water gym, and there are these different colored pipes, and the pipes are coming down with streams of water, and you have to go and you have to find buttons basically to create a path where you can get to the end. And then there's 3 streams of water at the very end, like guarding Nessa, the gym leader, and you just have to find a way to shut it off. And it's fine that the puzzle was like really easy. It's one of those puzzles where like the second you see it, it's like, oh, I just go over here, and there's really no process of solving. But it just felt like a type of puzzle that they could have done on any Game Boy Pokemon. Right. Like there are other gyms where you're going and you're hitting switches. Yeah,
let's ramp it up.
And I just was expecting or hoping, I guess, where it's like, hey, this is the first time Pokemon Sword and Shield is available. It's the first time we're actually getting hands-on with a mainline Pokemon game on Switch, and it just felt like the most basic-ass thing you possibly could have shown off.
I'm surprised the demo wasn't like you out in the field exploring or something.
Yeah.
Look at this Pokemon, though. This guy's sick.
It wasn't encouraging, and obviously you can't take away too much from this. Maybe later gyms are a lot more complex.
Of course.
I don't know.
I assume that's probably the first gym.
Right, but just this, it was not that exciting. And it was a new thing in this is the trainers that are there, they actually, like in the past, the way they would work is just like their line of sight was very rigid, and so you had to like directly go into their line of sight in order to trigger a battle. But here they're actually kind of pivoting around, so they have a little bit of a wider range to see you. But I'm like, man, if that's like the big new thing that I'm talking about here, that's not very exciting. What I will say though is Dynamax was all right. It was kind of cool. So once per battle you can Dynamax, and you get 3 turns with it. And that does a couple of things. You power up all your moves, and they do a lot more damage. And so the gym leader could also Dynamax, and she Dynamaxed her Dreadnought. And that did play into the strategy where it's like, oh, you're Dynamax now. I may not want this Pokemon in while you're Dynamax. Yeah. I might throw somebody else in, sacrifice them, and then bring in my heavy hitter.
I mean, 3 turns seems like a lot.
That does seem like
a lot. It is. It's a big...
Dynamax not just wipe out your regular Pokemon?
It depends. It definitely does a lot of damage, and like I said, you might have some sacrificial lambs during that. But it doesn't necessarily like one-shot you.
Okay. Yeah, but I would imagine. I mean, I don't know. It just feels like even if that Pokemon is resistant, it feels like it would only take 2 hits to take them down.
Yeah, it feels like you're just gonna.
So if you're gonna sacrifice something, well, now it's gonna be a one-shot.
Well, and you don't necessarily know when they're gonna do it, and so that was something that actually worked against me in the battle. Is I Dynamaxed my Grookey because I was like, oh, all right, Grookey, let's mess up this Dreadnought. And she Dynamaxed at the same time, and so I wasn't as powerful as I was hoping to be as a result. And Grookey had already taken some damage, and so the Dreadnought had an advantage going into it. So there is definitely a layer of strategy there, which I thought was cool. And another thing that I really liked about Dynamax, kind of an additional layer on top of it, is both Pokemon in Dynamax created an effect that persisted and affected the field. So the Dreadnought created the sandstorm that did damage, and then both of us, I created a field of grass, and both of us were healing over time while that effect was in place. And so it's a way to get a little bit of recovery. It's a way to do damage over time. I'm not sure what other effects can happen with Dynamax. I was limited by only doing Dynamax once, essentially.
I see.
In the gym battle, but. Yeah, it was cool. Nessa only had 2 Pokemon, a Goldeen and a Dreadnought, and it wasn't that difficult. Something that I did think was interesting is, unlike Generation 7, it didn't show me like, hey, this move is super effective against this thing. Maybe that was just the demo, and they will have that stuff carried over, those quality of life things. I kind of liked that it wasn't there, just so you couldn't rely on it, and you really had to think like, okay, what is effective against this type of Pokemon? Of course, the 2 new Pokemon that were revealed in this demo, Yamper and Impidimp, I think I like the look of them quite a bit. But yeah, I guess I was hoping to walk away from it feeling like, man, I'm really excited about this new generation, and it feels like a step forward. And it just didn't. It felt like Pokemon-ass Pokemon with like very minor
Like
twists.
this is the kind of stuff that it seems like they're taking a step
Right,
forward.
exactly.
You didn't get to play any of that.
No, didn't get to see the wild area, didn't get to see the raid battles, and so we'll see. But it definitely tempered my expectations.
Just wandering around.
Chop.
Yeah. Oh, those plushies.
Yeah,
I mean,
plushies.
It's nice that the wild world of Pokemon is so orderly because I don't know, a field full of Machops just seems pretty intimidating.
Pretty dangerous. Chop you down.
It's a good thing you only
Machops
fight
adorable.
one at a time.
Yeah. Cool.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So next up, we've got some Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers.
Yeah, this is a story for sure.
Damiani's got some stuff to queue up when Are you coming in here, Damiani, or are you gonna stay in
So
there?
I'm gonna come in there.
Okay.
Do I have a second to grab some water?
Go.
Grab some
Yes.
water.
Stay hydrated.
Yeah, you got to get some water after talking about that water gem.
Yeah.
Getting Dynamaxed right off the face of this thing.
Dude.
Oh, that's the thing. What was it? I think Jones had is Yamper the one that's like the corgi?
You're asking the wrong person.
Okay. So like he just has this little corgi sitting there, and the Dynamax giant turtle is like blasting this
Good Lord.
huge flood of water at this poor little corgi. I'm just like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Don't tell Peter.
Don't tell Peter.
Waterlogged corgis.
Quick intermission.
How you holding up, Brad?
I'm tired. It's been a long week, but we're almost there. It's sweet talking about games, though.
Sweet talking. Sweet talking.
Ben's busting out of Sam Pelly.
Yep.
Ready to go.
Need that hydration.
Need that carbonation.
Oh man, yeah. We're gonna have this 14 story, and then I think we're gonna go pretty quick.
Okay. Here we go, Damiani.
I was really hoping to walk away from that Sword and Shield demo having just been like, oh man, this is so exciting. No. Nope.
Nope.
Yeah, it was pretty basic.
Yep, pretty basic.
Sorry, I moved this up. Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers. So there's gonna be two parts to this. Ben and I
Story.
got
yeah.
hands-on
Got it.
Excuse me?
with the new Primal Battle, Titania, and we're gonna play at the end of this discussion. We're gonna play a small clip from the interview session I got to do with Naoki Yoshida. The full interview will go up later, either later tonight or tomorrow. The interview's done. Just gotta figure out when to put it in there.
Yeah.
We don't want to play the whole thing on here because it's like 15 minutes. And but yeah.
Yeah, we've
I
got
was,
actually a few interviews coming over the.
Oh yeah,
next
we got
couple
a lot
days,
more
so
than just that
FYI.
interview. But this one, I think we got the best question and answer. Like it was one of the most jolly reactions and things I'd seen in an interview, and it was you'll see. But before we get there, before you get to see it.
Yeah.
Before we get there, Ben and I
Yeah.
took on a new Primal Battle. So this is the new expansion, Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers. Early access begins at the end of this month. Full release comes out July 2nd. For E3, they decided to bring one of the new boss battles, which no one's fought yet, and let people play it with the new jobs, which most people haven't played with yet.
Yeah,
So
this is like an E3 tradition, though, right?
well, they usually bring existing bosses, which people have already played to death
got
and
it.
can just beat really easily. So, as you can imagine, a lot of people are having trouble beating this boss, and it was a really interesting environment to see people who were saying they're very familiar with the game but still struggling. But that's not as important, I think, as getting Ben's impressions, because Ben, I can only imagine it, like the anxiety of going into this situation.
Yeah. So
and hearing us talk about the battle ahead of time.
it was definitely an interesting position to be in. I was definitely thrown into the fire, and it was a very intense. It was like one of the. I felt the way about playing Shadowbringers the way Huber felt about playing Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Where I reviewed Heaven's Word at Game Trailers and at that time played a lot of Final Fantasy XIV, but I haven't seriously played since then, and so it's been years, and I'm like, oh man, it's time to like shake off the rust, catch up for Shadowbringers, ease myself into it, and this boss battle was like, and what was even better is the people that we were with, we didn't know them, just strangers, they were like, hardcore discussing strategy and like our party composition and what the mechanics were and what they had read online. And I didn't know anything about this primal fight. And so Damiani was very graciously being like, hey, this guy like pretty much only knows black mage. Can he play back mage? Which was true. And Damiani was trying to go through and explain the mechanics to me. And I kind of went through this emotional journey with this primal fight at this E3 booth where I was just like pure intimidation and self-doubt. But then as we did it, it was really cool seeing this group learn and see myself learn and get better and being like, oh, okay, that's right. This is what I have to do. This is kind of the flow of my class. And like, oh, okay, I got to be quicker at getting into this AoE circle when we need to get in, be quicker at stacking, be quicker at targeting the ads when we need to. And there was just so much going on that we really had to communicate. And it was fun just with strangers, people I had never met were just shouting at each other. And they were being super encouraging where it was like, oh, we didn't get it, but that was a really good run, guys. And it didn't really feel so much like a demo for Shadowbringers specifically. Like, there's not a lot that I can say that's like, man, Shadowbringers seems really cool.
That's a good point.
It just kind of felt like an advertisement for like, man, MMOs can be really cool when you get to the fights that are more involved and you can't just mindlessly get through. And it just really reminded me of how much I enjoy that coordination.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. Essentially, this thing, it unless you care about like lore and just want to see the new primal fight, you're not really getting
a good impression of the expansion.
Ben played Black Mage, and it was only level 73 the fight, so you don't even have all of the new abilities. So if you even this was not the best environment to try out the new jobs, honestly. If you unless you want to be a little bit frustrated, I mean, if you're pretty chill, I mean, it might go over more. It might go over better for you. But at the same time, I think it's mainly geared at the existing player base for people to like see what's the next challenge. And in that regard, this is more like this was an advertisement for MMOs, but also I think it was more indicative of like, do you want to slice like a small taste of like rating, like MMO rating, like the communication factor, like working as a team, seeing your team make progress through your failures versus, and that was a good thing because like the group we played with did not clear it, but each pull got progressively better.
Right. And it was just like we had a little bit more time because it was when we failed, it wasn't always obvious like, we just clearly have to do that. It was like failing and then theorizing, okay, how do we get past this? And just trying different things and seeing where that took us as a group. That
is essentially patch day experience of new content. That's what it's going to be like. That was what this was, which is very real. Like you're going to get that several times a year in Final Fantasy 14 and other MMOs as well.
Well, I'm only going to do stuff with you, so you're going to tell me what to do.
Damiani was a great
coach.
Great coach throughout all this.
He coached me through all of like Stormblood for all the fights, and it was wonderful.
Because it was great. I feel like I got to see like two different sides of Damiani come out, and both were good and healthy. But there was the first like, okay, like a little bit more serious, like, all right, this is what this mechanic does, and this is what you need to do, and I'll try to call it out when it happens, and maybe we can use this marker for this mechanic. And like, then he had a moment I think where he collected himself, and he was like, but don't just have fun. Like don't think about it too hard.
He's
like, I totally realized. I was like, you know what, because I've gone through this with new players before, like randoms I played with, that you can get to this point where you realize you're just dumping way too much on the person, and the best way you're going to learn, even in 14, is just to play it yourself and start to figure out some things and let the person do the asking of the questions rather than here's everything and try and like parse this and filter it and what's useful or not. And I think that's just a way too intimidating of an approach. And so but like have fun. Like a lot of people are not clearing this. Like the point is, if you clear it, that's great and stuff. But like this game's supposed to be fun. That's why a lot of people are playing it. And even in hard content, or in this context, it was hard for people.
Yeah. Well, and you
Yeah,
don't have
yeah.
your like
Your
UI set up
hotkeys
the
and
way
all
That's
that
that.
you
what
want
exactly
it to
what I
be.
mean.
Yeah.
By context, I mean people
Yeah.
are playing with unfamiliar like mouse and keyboards. They have to set up all
You're
their
playing
hotbars.
with some janky ass
The
controllers.
controllers, yeah, that kept hitting a wrong button every time. Like, there's a lot of things there. It's putting people, even veteran players, a little bit out of their comfort zone.
Yeah.
And then the same thing you saw, Ben. Like, I think you drew that conclusion here and before.
Yeah.
If we could have had a little bit longer, like maybe
Right.
I was telling you, if we'd had
About
like
an
an
hour,
hour,
yeah.
we would have like most groups could have cleared it, sticking together with that same
Yeah.
8 people.
I will say this fight just reminded me of what good Final Fantasy XIV fights do so well, where like the primal fights are just they kind of have this spectacular element to
Yes.
them. And in this, you're fighting these triads, and then you kill them, and then on like 3 different sides of the arena, they like become giant and they creep over the edge, and so you're just fighting these like giant creatures, which is really cool. And the mechanics, I think, really generate some pretty strong emotions throughout the fight, where one of the mechanics is you might get marked with like this pink dot, and you'll see this giant circle, this giant pink circle surrounding your character, and multiple party members will have this, and so you don't want to run into each other and take
Yeah.
a bunch of extra damage.
Scatter.
And so yeah, you kind of have that moment where like, oh no, I have it, and it creates a little bit of panic. And you're like, okay, where do I need to move so I'm not touching anybody else? And yeah, it's just like a little bit frantic, a little bit stressful, but that's what makes it
Yeah.
exciting. Yeah.
Definitely. My only criticism would be, I mean, I understand that existing players are probably will dig this. If you're going an event like E3 in this context, I wouldn't have minded for the general audience to tone it down a little bit. So
Just experience it.
our experience might not have been indicative of other people. It seemed like a lot of people are having a good time, even in like a lot, like we heard a lot of cheering for people who cleared. And I mean, other groups I saw, I think we're having a good time, but someone might have walked away with a bad experience. Like, whoa, this game's so hard.
Oh, I can
And
imagine
then-
if you've never
and
played
then-
Final Fantasy
yeah.
14 before, like just rip.
Yeah, like I was telling like other people, like don't feel bad. Like if unless you have 8 people who know how to play this game, like
Yeah.
and you're stuck. If you have even like 1 or 2 brand new people, you're probably not clearing this. And like don't feel like bad about that. You know, it's just for fun. But you know, I wonder if like 2 new players who are going in just like raw with like no one else helping them, hearing that like little powwow coach meeting, like the players
Yeah.
huddling up, like what are you talking about? What are these like? That I think that's a little overwhelming. So they can, I'm not sure how, but besides like tuning the fight to be a little easier, to like kind of help ease a player in a new player into that situation, and like maybe a demo kiosk set up for just like here's like a zone, just go around and have fun, like what we had at the media event. Like I feel like the media event should have had the zone exploration stuff we did, which is very tranquil, scenic, go around,
Chill,
low
learn-
level mobs.
learn the job.
And this boss fight should have been at the media event for like the influencers
Yeah.
who are really into the game, and then like media who they, you know, you should at least have a grasp on this, and we can at least you have like 8 hours there.
Yeah.
It was a little strange, but I get it. Like it's a spectacle. You win, you get the t-shirt.
t-shirt, yeah.
You know, it's bragging and stuff. So I get a little bit of that.
I wish all the time, whenever I played an MMO, I could do it the way that this setup was, though. Like, it was really exciting. Just, like, having your party be there in person was really, really
Yeah,
cool.
it's cool.
And it reminded me of high school, where we would, like, bring our
LAN
computers
parties,
to our
baby.
friends'
Yeah.
houses,
Yeah.
and we would all play WoW together.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. That's always fun.
Yeah,
The
that's
human
the-
element is nice.
The nice thing about that is like I can look over at other people's like your party members' screens and actually see stuff, and like it's not just speaking. You can like you literally could point at something if you really needed to.
Yeah.
But I mean, the closest you're gonna get is like everyone uses Discord, just doing like a voice chat in Discord with your 7 other party members, but that's still good. That's still a good experience.
Yeah,
like I'm not
totally.
gonna downplay that. It's really good. But yeah, I mean, we already did a bunch of. We have a preview up already for Shadowbringers. If you want to see, they did a giant live letter today. I've not seen
No spoilers.
any of that yet. I don't know. I know they talked about gathering and crafting supposedly the most is what they said, but I don't know of any other new things. But as I alluded to at the beginning of this, in addition to having the hands-on session with a new boss, got to sit down for 45 minutes with Naoki Yoshida. Got to ask him a few questions about Final Fantasy XIV. For those of you who are white mages, I asked the question you wanted to be asked. I asked about raid utility and DPS mobility. That's not the answer we're showing you now because it's a really long-winded that's too long. We're gonna show you this question instead, and I think you're gonna enjoy this and get a laugh. Like this will show you why I love this development team so much. After seeing the demand for older versions of World of Warcraft, Blizzard finally made it possible with the announcement of World of Warcraft Classic. It's almost been a decade since Final Fantasy XIV 1.0 launched, and many years since anyone has had a chance to play it. Would you ever consider bringing back a limited amount of servers with some version of the 1.x series for players to experience it?
まあもうお分かりになってるかと思いますが、何かしらの形で、まあ、限定サーバーでもいいので、1.0 をクラシックサーバー的な形で復活させるご予定は
Nightmare.
So, of course, for those players who have started Final Fantasy XIV with A Realm Reborn and just fell in love with the game, hear about these legacy players and how they describe 1.0 through 1.x series, and they have that desire of, oh, I want to experience that too. And we totally understand. We acknowledge that that request is there, but those are the people who do not know just how scary 1.0, the original Final Fantasy XIV is.
一体何人のプレイヤーが
You couldn't imagine how many people just dropped out from 1.0 at that time. And so if we were to hypothetically have some kind of classic server available, we might potentially see people who currently enjoy Final Fantasy XIV look at just how bad it is and just drop out. So I'm afraid we don't have any plans to do something like that just yet or at all.
ちなみにコミュニティチームのトップ2人がいるんだけど、君がやりたいかい？
So we actually have community teams that are heads of community teams in each of our regions. Would you like to play something like that? Nope.
After seeing the okay.
That's really funny.
They're like nope, and then it got cut off a little there, but like Matt Hilton, one of the community managers over there, also said basically I don't think I ever want to play that again.
just the nightmare after
nightmare.
a bout of
Nightmare.
laughter. Yeah.
So good.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so look for the full interview for that will be up shortly. Got some good questions in there. And yeah, we'll be doing early access. A few of us will be doing that in a few weeks.
Nice.
Cool.
Thank you, Damiane.
Yeah.
Next one I'm going to talk about is F1 2019. And for context, I started reviewing F1 games in like whenever Codemasters took it over, like 2009 or 2010 or something like
Almost
that.
a decade.
Did that through I think 2014 or 15, and then kind of and through that ended up
Forza?
no because I'd reviewed Forza and stuff before that, but through that ended up getting into F1. Codemasters one year actually brought me out to the inaugural F1 race in Austin. And like I got to like see like the pits and everything and just like really get like an inside
Bloodworth,
look.
dude, in the pit.
When Bloodworth is president of Nintendo, he's gonna open a direct
Yeah.
by like driving an F1 car into the frame of the camera and get out, and he says,
Throw out Retro's new game. Just drive away.
But anyway, so I had done that for several years, and then, but at the same time, like the F1 series, it's the most of a job that reviewing games could ever be to me.
Oh my goodness.
Because it's really intense, and like if you want to do it like kind of more the authentic way, it's like you have the full race weekend with like practice rounds and qualifying and the races themselves, like like a full race is like 50 or 60 laps. So just like I would do that like a couple of times in my review, but like most of the time I'm like on 25% setting, which is still like 12 laps and a lot of work to get through.
I have never reviewed a racing game, I don't think, but I feel like the closest equivalent of that for me is an MMO review.
Right.
It feels equally like
Daunting.
Yes, it's just
like,
so much.
Like you spend your whole night, and it's like,
Right.
okay, I've gotten through
Right.
one race.
Right.
There's like 24 more of these to go. And then the other thing too is that because it's a sport essentially. It's a sports game. It's like every year, there are some things that change in the lineup with the teams and the tracks and the cars, but a lot of it is very much the same. And so then as I got busier, as game trailers went over to Defy and all of that kind of thing, I kind of fell off
That
the
nightmare.
train I played less and less and watched less and less F1 on TV. So I was kind of going into this slightly reluctant because I'm like, oh, I don't know what's going on in the F1 world right now. I've got no clue. But I also wanted to, since we are E3 judges, I don't know if there's a racing category that we're going to be voting on or something. But I just want to make sure, like, okay, I should check this out. I should check it out. And I did see some dev diaries from things that they had done with change with the lighting engine, to where, particularly with the night lighting, one of the things he was saying is that the way that the night tracks were lit, drivers and stuff had complained it was actually too dark. That it was more like being like just out on like a regular road at night, whereas what they experience is like
The lights,
it's like being like being in a football stadium. You've got these huge floodlights coming down on you, and some of the locations, like the air is like really humid, and so it's like it's like really not quite foggy, but like the air is the light's more diffuse in the air. And they said that like once they worked and like reconfigured the lighting engine, it actually made like all of the lighting across the board look better, so you could actually see more details that were already in the track, textures and stuff like that. But there's being a few years off, like there's a lot that's changed in the games already. That I was impressed with, but I think there's a lot that's new in here as well. So some of the stuff may be kind of a mix of old and new if you're like really up to date, but I think it's all interesting. One of the things that they're adding in is they're adding in a bit of Formula 2 racing, and so Formula 2 is kind of like minor leagues.
Oh,
So the cars aren't quite as fast, and
50cc.
yeah. So you're working your way up. So you start your career in a couple of Formula 2 races.
That's cool.
But not only that, but you started off it's kind of like story mode before you get into the main career. So the race that I did, and like before you even get control, there's this whole scenario that's built up where this rival you have on the track cuts you off and smashes your front wing. And so you've got to go into the pits, get your wing replaced, get back on the track, and like now you're behind. And so like the whole scenario is it's like, okay, can you actually like catch up and beat him? And so and through that they introduce you having this rival as well as you have this teammate, and so you do the race, and then afterwards, like your teammate actually gets in an argument with this guy, and so like this is like totally like going from like what I remember of being like fairly sterile games, where like they would have some like press, they early on they had like these press interviews that were like really dry, and then they got away from that for a couple of years, and now there's like almost like this like trackside drama, and there are press interviews are back, and I think they've been back for a couple of years, but it's interesting because they talk about the incident, and like you have like these like Fallout style multiple choice options of like okay, this option is going to be more humble, and this one's going to be more sportsmanlike, and this is going to kind of defer to giving all the praise to your engineers and your team, but something else like it might make you look more attractive to other teams, and so you're really kind of thinking through like how you want to present yourself, just based on these questions the press are asking you after the race.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Cool.
And they also talked about they're expanding the multiplayer into weekly events that to me sound a lot like GT Sport. So like they kind of play out over the course of a few days to where you have practice rounds to get in there, and you earn points through those, and you get the qualifying rounds in there, and you get points through those, and then you can use those points and spend those points to customize your vehicle and prepare, like basically your engineers preparing your car for the race and like actually like set it up for the conditions on race day. And then the race is kind of set for like a specific time on a schedule, kind of like, again, like I said, like sounds like a lot like GT Sport to me.
Yeah, show up.
And then what's really cool with this is through the online multiplayer races, if you win, you earn trophies.
Ooh.
And you actually like have like your own little trophy cabinet that you can set up favorites for your friends to see. Like these are the trophies that I've been earning. These are
bragging rights, baby.
Yeah, your big bragging rights.
So you mentioned doing these challenges to get points that you could spend on customization stuff. Are there any sort of microtransactions to bypass that system or to purchase customization?
I wouldn't imagine so. I mean, I didn't really get into that,
Yeah.
but that doesn't. That doesn't really make sense the way they described it.
Sure.
So, because it really is about you earn points through placement, not through just cash.
Gotcha.
Straight cash.
That's good.
They also talked about they're putting like a league system into the game. So they're saying like in the past people have like really like to group up and like do their own events. Like people have had to do a lot of things like
to make it happen
on their forums or Discord or whatever, and like they're putting a system in there so that you can join a league and talk to each other and figure out like when you're going to do what you want to do.
Better community stuff.
Yeah, without leaving the game itself. They touched on esports, which I think has already been a thing for the past couple of years, but essentially they have all of the real F1 teams now have their own esports teams.
Yeah, how crazy is that?
Have you ever like seriously watched any of that stuff?
I
on
haven't.
your own? Okay.
But it does sound like you can just by like playing the game kind of like qualify for like some of the, like the early, like basically like get the attention of people.
I can't wait until you come in and you say like I accidentally qualified for
Guys, I'm leaving Easy Allies.
Right.
Red Bull hired me.
Gives you wings.
There's a lot of customization in there now to where there's you, like your outfit and your helmet, but also this is something that I think is actually pretty different for F1 because they're usually like you're pretty much like stuck to the licenses and the real teams and real cars, but they're saying that like you can actually create a custom multiplayer car now. So there's a lot of parts and designs and things to work with that. There's a showroom with photo mode with like not just the current cars, but like a lot of historic cars that you can get in there and look at the details. I like this too. So again, I was telling you like these F1 races are ridiculous long, right? So if you're going to play like an authentic full course, like 40, 50 laps sometimes.
Dedicated only.
That sucks if you want to save a replay.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I've got this hour-long replay.
Yeah.
So what they've got now is they've got a system, like an AI system that will, after your race, it will create a highlight reel. So, I mean, obviously, like, who knows how good it will be at like,
that's the
picking
question.
best moments that you want to pick. But ideally, like, rather than having to have laps and laps and laps of you just kind of doing the same thing and just trying to get the best corner, like, okay, that moment when I got right past that guy and got a nice clean overtake on the inside, like that's in my highlight reel, and I can put that up for people to watch.
Yeah, I love how they're just taking all of these different aspects that they've introduced and drilling them down and saying, how can we make this better?
Yeah.
It seems pretty meaningful.
Yeah, and so I did 2 races. I don't remember what the first one I did was, but the second one was Singapore to see the night lighting and everything, which it's kind of a good and bad thing because Singapore, it's good to see the night stuff, but at the same time, Singapore is unforgiving because it's kind of like Long Beach where they close off the streets, and so there's just walls everywhere. So like you've really like got to get your turns right, or you're just gonna like bash into something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the series is, to me, it's always felt good to control. There have been some weird things in like early years with them getting the rain and stuff, right? But
I feel like a lot of times with racing games and press events, you never know exactly what you're going to get. Sometimes they just give you a standard controller. Sometimes they give you like a
well,
racing...
they put me in a racing seat here
Yes.
with a wheel.
Nice.
And everything,
Yeah.
Sweet.
Cool.
So
Do you have a racing wheel that you use when you?
no,
Okay.
I've had both, logistical challenges as financial challenges, and then just
Sure.
like
Understandable.
as somebody who's played video games for a long time, like the whole process of getting wheels and setting up wheels, and the fact that wheels are usually not very good at being cross-compatible against systems
Sure,
and generations,
yeah.
and like I don't want to have
It's a big
closet
investment.
full of racing wheels. And again, along with the wheel, it's like you can't just have a wheel. Like their setup is like what you want. You want this giant, huge seat with
Right.
the adjustable pedal slider and all of that. So it's just a lot of investment if you don't have a garage that you could throw that in and
Yeah.
have a dedicated station that just is for that. But yeah, so I was going into it, like I said, kind of reluctantly. It's like, I don't know, but I'll just stop and check it out. To think that, I think this is cool. I mean, I still might not put the time to review it again,
Right.
but at least maybe put some
Doing a
time
race for
in
an
and do a
entire
frame
weekend,
trap
yeah.
or something.
Yeah. Cool.
Next up is a totally different kind of racing game. This is from Thunderful, who's kind of like it's kind of like a amalgamation, like they represent multiple different developers like Zoink Games and Image and Form, and this is called Lonely Mountains Downhill. And so
this
it's
game,
like you're racing this mountain bike through these little challenge courses, and it's pretty cool. I did the same kind of thing we did with the Inti Creates, where we just like sat on a bench
okay.
in the hallway and
Nice.
played it on a Switch. And yeah, you've got little checkpoints here, but this is what's cool about it is you can look for crazy shortcuts.
Yeah,
that's-
that's what I was
that
gonna
is
say. Is
cool.
that you can? It seems like if you're good enough, you can just skip
Whoa.
so much.
Yeah, so there's a lot of alternate routes. There's some physics to work with. There's a way to sometimes when you crash, it's just the animation is brutal.
Oh,
It seems very intentionally slippery.
It didn't feel necessarily that slippery to me, but because again, you have to think you're going downhill.
Yeah.
And so like you really need to manage your speed and like when you're gonna turn and how you're gonna like flip around that turn, or you're gonna just slide right off into the boulder or something.
Yeah, looks pretty neat.
Yeah. So there's not like a lot to say. I basically just did one course.
Yeah.
Did they give any idea of how many courses there are in the game?
Let me look through my notes and stuff.
So,
I'm gonna
like,
see if I
yeah.
have anything.
Oh. Is
I
it just
might-
like
I might
Time
have-
Attack too, where you actually race people?
I haven't seen anything like actually racing people.
Okay.
But it is like it's keeping. What's interesting is that they have a lot of checkpoints on a course, and so you're only having to worry about one checkpoint at a time, and then it kind of adds your time up all at the end. Let's see.
That
Oh,
sounds
and this
kinda
is
like a
like
trial
this is like a
system.
2 to 3 man team. That's making this.
So it looks like at the top you have this stamina meter, but there's this notch kind of near the end of the stamina meter where it's not fully depleted. But what does that mean? Does it mean that like yes, you can still go, but maybe like it's weaker once you get to that point?
I think that's like the speed boost. Like so you can always go, or you can just even coast going downhill. But the boost you need to get over like a big jump like that. So like you really got to speed up to get some of those.
Neat.
yeah,
yeah.
it seems fun.
I don't know. Oh, there's unlockable bikes. I know that much.
Get some new colors.
But I
some
didn't have
tires,
anything in here
maybe.
about how many. So I might have to look and see if there's an email on
We
it.
are watching this on the Game Trailers YouTube channel.
Nice.
And I'm pretty sure it's multi-platform as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw Switch at least.
I would imagine PC.
Yeah, we won't worry too much about that. Let's move
This
on.
looks, I kinda wanna play it,
Next
man.
up is
Simple.
Simple.
is a game that I haven't brought up yet because I'm not sure what I feel about it yet.
Oh, okay.
and that is
Battletoads.
Battletoads.
Okay.
Whoa. Okay, let's go.
This has been getting a largely negative response.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I liked the art, but I haven't played it myself yet. I only saw
Yeah,
it
so it's
during
getting a
the-
negative response just in the art style, or
Yeah.
is it getting a negative response in like people that played it?
My understanding is that it's
Both.
getting just a negative response, primarily
The
because of
art
how
style?
it looks.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I can understand
It's
that
drastically different from what people probably expected.
Yeah.
too. Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like it's very like simple in a way.
Yeah,
Um,
but
it's weird. I think the main thing that is tough for me is kind of like how we were talking about with Hollow Knight and hits connecting.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel like the hits here aren't quite always necessarily like I'm not sure if I'm actually doing the damage that I want.
man, that's
That's
like something you
yeah.
super don't want to hear with Battletoads,
Yeah.
because something
Right.
that it is iconic for is how it sells those hits that you're doing and how exaggerated it all is. Yeah, and so that's something you definitely don't want to
Right.
hear in regards to Battletoads.
Yeah, and I guess one of the reasons I kind of feel that way, and what leads to it is, there's like a lot of iframes on the enemies. So like, you know how like the rats would like you'd knock them down and they kind of get back up. Like that mechanic is still there, but I think just with the higher fidelity or whatever now, it feels really weird to like hit a guy, knock him down, and then like, okay, when can I hit him
Just waiting?
again?
Oh, yeah.
And meanwhile, there's like other guys going on.
It always drives me. There are a lot of games that do that, where it's like, wait, like you're completely vulnerable. Let me hit you. Why is this animation to get up so long? Yeah.
Right. So the regular hits, there's some launchers, and then and this is another thing I think is kind of weird because the original Battletoads, like your big fist
Yes.
or whatever, like all that stuff would just like come out like kind of naturally and contextually. And in this, you actually have like it's a dedicated button.
Oh.
There's
Oh,
a
really?
morph move button that you hold the button and you do that. And so it's like, yeah, you like just hit him with the regular attacks and then you morph move and like do a strong attack and then you can
I guess
jump in the air.
I don't see like anything inherently wrong with that.
I guess not. It's just, I guess just the rhythm of it feels a little bit different. And,
Sure.
And again, I just need to put more time into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I guess the reason it feels strange is because it sort of feels like I can just like morph move, morph move, morph move.
Well, that was what I was going to ask. Is if you're assigning it to a command like that, I would imagine that there'd be some sort of trade-off, like it's limited by a meter or something like that. But if you can just spam it over and over again, I don't know why you wouldn't.
Right.
Put it at the end
I
of
mean, there's the
combos.
charge up, so you're leaving yourself open while it's charging a little bit. There's also kind of like a jump, so like a different morph when you jump.
Okay.
And so Rash, who I was playing as, when you jumped in morph, he turned into a shark.
Oh.
And kind of like this splash
cool.
damage around him. That's just cool.
Did you do the bike part?
Yeah, did the bike part.
Nice.
The turbo tunnel part it's kind of crazy because you're doing it from behind
Yeah.
rather than the side. And it was really tough. And we were doing it with 3 people.
Was it just as tough?
I mean, I don't think anything's quite just as tough.
Right.
But I think that again, talking about hitboxes,
Yeah.
like it was tricky to try to get yourself. Sometimes, like I would think I would be in the right spot and I would be safe.
Yeah.
And I would still hit that wall.
Yeah. I definitely felt that with OG. Not that this is a good thing, but I
Right.
definitely felt that with OG Turbo Tunnel, where it was like, why? Like, why didn't that work? Yeah.
And there are definitely spots where they make it like intentionally very tricky to where like you've got to like jump and then dash over to like get onto like some skinny thing on the other side because there's a barricade on the lane that you're in. And when you're doing a multiplayer like we were, it's pretty cool because it can keep going until everyone wipes. So if like one of you crashes, then there's like, I'd say like a 10-second, pretty lengthy like respawn before you get back in the game.
Okay.
So
But it's just as
you
long
can be
as-
that last guy and like, oh, everyone's counting on me to like
Yeah.
stay in the game until they can come back.
Cool.
But yeah, so
little iffy on it. So
little iffy. Like I
Yeah.
hope
Hope it
it
comes
can
together
feel
for 'em.
better. I hope that maybe with just some more time
Did they
into
announce
it,
a
maybe.
date?
for that?
Did they announce the date? I don't know. Damiani can maybe tell us.
I don't remember.
I don't either.
That's too bad. I really
Yeah.
wanted Battletoads to be like a nice, straightforward win, and it,
Yeah. Hopefully comes together.
yeah, we'll see.
We shall see.
Oh goodness! Now for the first game of the show, which I'm almost not qualified to talk about. I played Call of Duty Mobile.
Oh.
Woo!
And what's crazy about this game is like it really is like all a Call of Duty put onto a mobile game.
Crazy.
Like in terms of the multiplayer, and so
Is that good?
it actually was pretty decent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
I mean, it helps that I played on maps that I
you're
was
familiar
familiar
with?
with.
Yeah. Hey,
So
Nuketown,
like,
what's up?
yeah, there's Nuketown. Yeah, you always got to bring Nuketown in there.
Yep.
I also played on what's the name? I'm sure I wrote the name of it down. The one on the boat, hijacked.
Blood. I feel like that happens to me with Call of Duty maps all the time, where it's like I
Yeah.
super know this map, just the name.
The name
You just
escapes
don't even
you.
bother remembering the name. But yeah,
I only know
the Black
Nuketown.
Ops 2 boat here.
Yeah.
More.
And then they've got
Wait, Cerberus was right there?
What?
yeah, well they've got the Battle Royale, and then they've also got like a icon zombies is going to be coming soon.
Oh my goodness.
I thought it was just
Yeah, geez.
multiplayer. Okay.
I was
Yeah.
like, oh, that's pretty impressive already.
Yeah, it is. I agree.
Yeah, so they've got like a lot going on there. And like it's interesting the controls the way we have it set up. There's like a standard controls and then there's like a simpler controls. So you're still essentially twin sticking, but then you've got like a fire button. But when you hold on that fire icon, you can still essentially aim with your thumb while it's held down. The simplified version is that there's not a fire button, so you just use it like a camera, and then if you are aiming on top of another player, it will start to shoot automatically. And then you can also like click on like a grenade icon, and then click fire to throw your grenade. But I was actually, I mean, the reason I feel unqualified is because I don't play Fortnite or PUBG Mobile, so I don't really have a lot of comparison.
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
But as somebody just like jumping into an FPS, like felt like it controlled fairly well, and I was able to do well in it.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get in there and be like, okay, I can sprint, crouch, fire, throw my grenade, melee, like all pretty intuitively and easily in an
Yeah, I'm not
interface
sure
that
about
makes
melee.
sense.
like,
I think
but-
that's impressive for sure.
yeah, I'm trying. Let me look through if I can see some of the things that they were talking about. It will be free to play. They want to go as deep and as social as possible with multiplayer. I don't know. That's a marketing bullet point. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
The most loved maps. They are working with all of the different developers to, converting the maps and putting the maps into the game. They're gonna have clans. They're gonna have rank play. They're gonna have daily login rewards. Obviously, leveling up weapons and characters. Multiple loadouts. Score streaks are in there, of course. The battle
Wonder
royale.
How many score streaks?
The battle royale is specific to mobile, and it's
I
like
see.
mashing up stuff
Call of
from
Duty
all of the
maps.
different maps. There's I wrote down clown robot.
Clown robot.
I think that's
Okay.
specific to that's something specific to battle royale that it will like pull zombies. So basically, like toss it where your enemy's at, and zombies
Yeah.
will swarm at them.
Nice distraction.
Yeah.
Neat.
You can play first person or third person, and there's separate matchmaking.
Really?
Yeah.
Person.
You can play third person.
Yeah, that's strange.
Mhm.
Okay.
I didn't see it, but yeah, that's one of the things they were talking in. I will say though, I mean, it's not like it's some like wonderful, amazing experience to look at. Like
Yeah,
we
of
were
course.
playing on some pretty. I think I wrote down iPhone XS, and like it was framey.
Pretty grody.
There was a lot of popping
Having
going on.
like with Call of Duty especially, the one
Yeah.
thing you do not want it to be is framey. So
Yeah.
especially in like something like ranked play. Yeah.
yeah,
Interesting.
but I
though.
think it's still it's a mobile game. So like I wonder
Yeah.
like what it would be like on like that's I think it's not what is that bad on the XS, and it is like still very like early preview builds or whatever.
Sure.
But I'm more worried about like, well, if I put it on my phone, what's gonna happen?
Just blows up.
Yeah. There are unique challenges out in the battle royale, so you can look at the map and there'll be like points of light
Yeah.
to kind of go towards, which I think that's the same in
Yeah, it's like, hey, we're drawing you to this area with zombies where there's a box where you can get powerful stuff. So.
They do have kind of Apex style like speech callouts
Okay.
for team members.
That is fantastic in Apex, and that is exactly things they should be taking. Yep.
Yeah. The map is smaller and more intimate than Fortnite, they're saying.
Yeah.
That they are looking for a certain pace that still feels like
totally.
Call of Duty. No release date yet. They're doing like a rolling soft launch, kind of putting it into various
Phones.
lesser territories, I suppose.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
like
Gotcha.
less popular territories to test it out. And yeah, that's pretty much what I got on that Call of
Crazy.
Duty.
Call of Duty Mobile.
And then the last one, the reason it's last is because we didn't really get a lot to it.
Yeah, so
Is
me and
Chivalry.
Yeah.
It's such a bummer because Brad, you were really excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really wanted to play this
I was
game.
hyped.
And they looped the trailer for us and
Yeah,
talked
that
about
was it.
We're like, oh.
Which is another Epic Game Store exclusive.
Oh, really? They
victim.
did that?
Yep.
I was like, oh man, dude, I wanted to play so bad. Did confirm. I asked him if you could spam voice lines again, and
Yeah.
he said, of course.
Yep.
Excellent, great. They said it's been I think 8 years.
Yeah,
since
the first
they
game
made
was
the
in
first
2012, and like they said they're still basically amateurs. They were just
Yeah, now they feel like way more confident. Their sword combat. They've done a lot of changes. They said. They talked about one really cool specific element, like a new gameplay kind of like scenario, where one side will be like peasants, and another side will be like people raiding a village or something like that. So you got to try to fight them off as peasants in like a wave.
I like
So you're
that.
gonna have like pitchforks. They're really trying to say. They said they're really trying to simulate the medieval like
Hollywood battles.
Hollywood battles. They brought up
Medieval Hollywood
they
battles.
he brought up Game of Thrones Battle of the Bastards for
Okay.
an example, and I asked him about Braveheart, and he was like, "Yeah, of course."
Mm-hmm.
So, but like I didn't really like. It's really hard to talk about Chivalry when I didn't get to play it.
Right.
It's a
Didn't
game.
even see a demo.
Didn't
really,
see
yeah.
a demo. It's a game all about feel and everything like that. So it's like really hard to keep discussing this game when I don't have a lot to go off of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not-
they did
not
say
your
larger
fault.
scale. They're talking about 64
Yeah,
players.
64 players instead of 32 now. I believe.
There's really big sieges. They talked about the castles being really huge.
Yeah.
like a castle in the trailer. I guess
Is the
is like
smallest
the smallest one.
Yeah.
But not a whole lot to go on just yet,
Yeah.
other than it's going to be better because it's it's basically next gen
Chivalry. Yeah.
Well,
with
yeah.
a better, larger, more experienced team.
Yeah. That's
I mean, I'm hyped
really
for it.
weird, though, that
I'm
you
hyped
could
for it, but
go
yeah.
to an appointment like that and just be like,
It was a
yeah,
little
there's not much to
disappointing, yeah.
say. Okay.
But hell yeah.
Yeah, man. So that is
do it?
That's
that
it.
is it.
We
That is
did
the
We did the list!
We did E3.
Like 60-something games,
Only-
probably more.
Only like 5 of us left.
It's almost 9
in the
o'clock
journey.
here, and we got here at 11. So that's 10 hours that we've been here.
Well, and
today,
and then that's coming after
the whole week.
The week.
Last Saturday, all the
Since
way.
last
to
I
now.
feel like I
Saturday.
can barely speak,
Yeah.
think, see.
Ian
Breathe.
Hink is coming in here. Ian Hink.
Hi.
I know.
Ian's coming in. He's like, I've got 30 more games to talk about. I've got 80 more games.
We have any sweetest moments from Sweet Justice to throw in here?
The sweetest
I don't
moment
even hardly
is
remember
that
what we
we
did
finished
today.
the list.
From
That's
today,
what
yeah.
it feels, and
Finishing
it
the
feels
list.
good. We finished it.
Yeah, that we actually
Finishing the
after the
list.
internet went down, after Twitch went down, we came back in. Actually, they didn't see the last few, so that's gonna get uploaded later.
Uploaded
the
later.
Brandon
Also,
ones.
we did have some amazing guests on today.
Yes.
Kind of
Yes.
funny and
Completionist,
Game
and
Explain.
Nintendo,
and
and Game
yeah,
Explain.
is
Thank you,
amazing.
everyone.
Yeah.
Very good.
It was
A
sweet.
good day,
Yeah.
all in all.
And,
Twitch being down gave us an opportunity to yell at each other about Star Wars and
And
Game
Star
of
Wars and Game
Thrones.
of
Yeah,
Thrones.
we did
Yeah,
that.
we did do that.
So funny.
We weren't even like it.
We weren't mad at each
No,
other.
no.
We were all just kind of
Yeah.
like,
Just
we
yelling.
were
I think
upset. we were
we were
upset.
just tired and like old man yelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like,
Like we were
know.
like agree yelling at each other
Right.
about Game of Thrones.
And it's really like, it's the end of our live E3 coverage and our
I
impressions.
thought you said the end of our life.
No.
I was like, Bloodworth, what do you know?
I don't know. But we have more E3 coverage coming.
That's right.
We've got 4 to 5 interviews. How many exactly?
Yeah, I feel
Five?
like I did 4 to 5 interviews
You
just
did?
to my own.
Can I just say them all?
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah.
Wolfenstein Youngblood,
Yeah, Cyberpunk 2077.
Cyberpunk 2077, Doom Eternal, the Shadowbringers one that I cut yesterday.
That was Damiani.
That's Damiani. And
Monster
then,
Hunter.
And then Monster Hunter Iceborne.
interview.
So I've got to cut 4 more interviews. I
And we-
just finished and rewatched the Easy
Shadow
Update.
Oh,
Nice.
yes.
So that's done.
Things are happening.
I'll
That's
upload
tomorrow
that
night.
tonight. It's in 4K.
And we got those Jones impressions going to be coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
Shock.
we also have the Huber syndrome.
Huber
I feel like,
syndrome.
which
during
the
the-
cut is done, but I don't know if Huber's watched it. So
It better not go up tomorrow. I swear to God.
Ooh,
I swear to God, Huber.
you might want to make it clear with Huber.
You
Oh,
might
I
wanna
said
text
no. I
Huber.
said get off my steez to him.
Does he know what
Can't
that
make
means?
it any clearer than that.
He might have to.
This is through no fault of Jones, but I felt like, because throughout the day you have like your highs and lows of exhaustion. I definitely felt like during the Jones impression, and again, not his fault. I was just like at my most tired.
Right.
So, yeah.
But yeah, so tomorrow night for sure, Easy Update will come out. Maybe Huber Syndrome's already up, or it'll go up soon. I don't know.
Well, it's not up now.
Yeah.
Okay,
I would have at least made a thumbnail before it went up. So.
Huber, get off my steez.
So text Huber after this.
We gotta
Ian,
call
and
Huber.
tell him to watch this
Yeah.
video and let me know if
And
it's good to go.
Some interviews, and then Tuesday.
Yeah.
Well,
Facts
Monday
and-
night we're gonna film
Oh yeah.
the betting results show, and then I'll have to cut that, so I don't know when that'll go up, but hopefully not
ASAP,
long after.
yeah.
Yeah.
I did not win.
My feeling probably
I think I didn't win, but I have
is
not enough tracking to know.
yeah.
I didn't really understand what we were
I
doing.
think that we all got decimated, but we'll have to find
That
out.
was the funniest thing, Ian. Like I went in there just like betting on what I thought like a yes or no would be, and didn't really understand what the odds were about whatsoever.
I did the same thing. I kind of just bet on everything.
I just bet on Todd not apologizing.
I do know a friend of mine went all in on longer than 24 seconds and made $1,500.
Good
Whoa.
Total.
Your check is in the mail.
Don
Bucks.
Bucks.
Check
Yeah,
that mail.
Don Bucks. And then Tuesday, the big day, Tuesday evening is our E3 2019 awards show.
Which have not been decided in any capacity.
I don't
No,
even think
we
we've
will
decided
decide.
how we're doing it.
We will decide probably the nominees first, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll try to. We got that feedback last year that we'll try to get some,
Yeah,
some
it'll
nominees
be-
knocked out somehow.
It'll be streamlined as hell. It's gonna blow your mind
It'll
away.
be the F1 2019 of E3
Of
Awards.
E3 Awards. E3 2019 Awards, Tuesday night, 6 p.m. PST. Check easyallies.com for the schedule in your local time zone. As if by magic, we are supported by patreon.com/easyallies.
Well, we're
It's what makes
supported
all
by
this
people
happen.
using patreon.com/easyallies.
Right.
You
People
know,
going
like
to
9,000 people.
patreon.com/easyallies.
Thank you very much.
9,000
Yeah.
people.
Putting
Over
just kind of
9,000.
like shoving money into it, and then the money appears to us a month
Onto this
later.
Table.
Right, and
There
then
it
we-
is. It
yeah.
becomes a
we-
table.
We do a ritual to turn that money into Don Bucks.
Into Don Bucks.
Which we cannot reveal at this time.
Yeah. You don't want to know, but yeah. So if you like what you have seen, go to patreon.com/easyallies.
And if you
And if
know,
you
didn't
don't-
like it,
yeah.
that
Go to patreon.com/easyallies.
Yeah, I mean, actually, there are
Hate
certain
money's
things that
just
are
as good as regular money.
updates that are only there from time to time. Like Kyle does.
Yes.
I don't know if Kyle's Box Peak update is only for $1 patrons or not, but I know he does like a monthly update on how Box Peak is coming along.
If you
We've got other.
we have a
things.
brand new feature on easyallies.com.
Mm-hmm.
There's an exclusives tab on the top. Click on that. It's on the top, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Click on that, and it's a beautiful, really handy, really nice list of all of the exclusive content that you get for being a $1 or more patron on our Patreon.
Speaking of that, a brand new episode of our current exclusive show, Achieve It Yourself,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
is coming up next week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thursday.
That's a fun show.
Around 11, I
and
think.
not exclusive, but Mysterious Monsters is coming up the third Monday of this month, and I am very excited for this episode. Ben's
Is that-
on it.
Wait, is that this Monday or the
I'm
one
on
after?
it.
The 17th.
Okay.
I think.
That
Is
is
This
this
Monday.
Crap! That's Monday. So look forward to that. Woo! Anyway,
It's
thank
been
you.
a ride.
It's been
Yeah,
amazing.
That's the end of E3. We did it.
Almost.
Time
Tuesday
to
night's the
sleep.
official end of E3.
Thank you, everyone, for watching
Thank you so
all
much,
of our
everybody.
coverage. Thank
Yeah.
you, mods, for chat. We appreciate it.
Yep.
Say goodbye, Damiani.
Goodbye.
Okay, bye everyone.
Goodbye, everybody.
Thanks for watching our coverage of E3 2019. If you'd like to learn more about us, visit patreon.com/easyallies to see how you can help us keep doing what we do. At various levels of support, you can participate in the live and pre-recorded content we create, or get our podcasts a few days early. For just $1 a month, you gain access to exclusive shows, spoiler-filled discussions, and weekly business updates. You can also visit easyallies.com to see our schedule in your time zone. Easy Allies E3 2019 coverage is brought to you by Sweet Justice, a sound design company from the southern shores of the UK. They've worked on some of the biggest AAA titles, the most refreshing indie titles, and collaborated with the best development teams in the world. Check out their work at sweetjustice.audio.